make more people a co-host, because the people who are coming to talk about things are going to want to be co-hosting. So I can do that as well, right? I can just scroll through, and once I see somebody, all right.
You don't need to give them co-hosts. You can give them ability to share their screen without making them a co-host.
Okay. All right. Or I can just ask them to talk and then they'll just pop up like you did. Okay. Right. Well, as we go through, I think that I'm hoping that will work out. And I'm going to be such a pro by the end of the year, right? So thank you all for coming. And our main piece was just really, I wanted to be able to say hello to everybody and welcome and thank you for being here. Alyssa, I am just making you a co-host because I know that you're going to need to do that later. So that one's done. If anybody sees Shauna Bonner appear on here, then she also needs to be made a co-host. So thank you. All right. Thank you. So for this evening's meeting, the most important thing that we have to do is, from a business standpoint, is to make sure that everybody has looked at the proposed budget and that we are therefore able to vote on it. And it was a really good question that Betsy just asked about how we were actually going to be able to do that vote. And what I am thinking is that we can do thumbs up in the emoji section for the reactions. If anybody has a disagreement, then they should unmute and tell us that what the problem is. And I think that that's probably the best way to go through that. So Ramona's here as well. I don't know, would you like to say hi to everyone, Ramona?
Just to say hello, welcome, thanks for joining us, and bear with us as this is new to the two of us. Thank you, guys.
All right, so I'm going to share. Betsy, are you good for me to get going?
Yes.
Great. Would you like me to share the budget onto the screen?
Yeah, do you want to vote on the auditor's report real quick?
Yes,
I have that.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and share that.
So the first thing that Kate's putting up is the Meg Weingart was a treasurer last year, and she had the books audited by Joanne Chrisman. And by and large, the audit was pretty clean. Her final comment just said that the books were very well organized and things were kept track of very well. And we have about, 43,000 plus dollar, right there is the number, 43,499, which should be fine for next year. So what we need to do is accept the auditor's report, and and first I'll ask if anyone has any questions or if there's any discussion we need about this. Does anyone have any questions?
So the main part reviewed, main focus determine the accuracy, and confirms. This is I hope this is.
What'd you say, Kate? You hope what?
I'm sorry. I hope that this is clear enough and that people can see it.
Yeah, it's coming across very clear. And I would say what we're going to find with the auditor report and even with the budget is, this was not an easy time with, you notice the $3,000 paid to the after prom. Yes, it was paid and they used it, but they obviously didn't have the event. So things were changing, and even setting up the budget for this year, you don't know exactly what's going to happen, what events are going to happen, and we're constantly thinking, do we need more here and less here? So it's a unique year, but the books were good. And if you scroll down to that final comment, I think that's the key part where
Thank you.
You know,
I'd just like to say that we do know that that $3,000 bought blankets for all of the seniors that went into the sort of care gifts that they got at the end of the year.
right. So unless anyone has any questions, we just need a vote to approve it, or, you know, if anyone's opposed.
I think.
So do you want to try the thumbs up thing, or should we just?
Do we have a motion? I move we accept the auditor's report, and then someone can second it.
Yeah, I was kind of skipping that with the Zoom call, so.
Do we have any?
Okay, so
You may want to, can you unshare for a moment, because you won't be able to see the thumbs up.
That was why I couldn't find it. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so we're voting now.
Can you remind me where the?
Oh, random. Where are the emojis?
Got it. Down in the reactions next to end call at the bottom. It says reactions and a smiley face plus.
Thought you wanted my thumb.
I'm seeing thumbs up. I'm not seeing anybody.
there's no real thumbs down, so. If anyone, I guess if anyone could speak up if there's any nays as far as approving it. So let's assume that it passes. Hearing none, well, the motion carried unanimously. And the auditor's report was accepted. Okay, so now we can move on to the budget.
Okay. So I made a PDF of it. And here we go. I will drag this across. I don't know why the other one's still showing now. I thought I'd closed it.
It looks good, Kate.
So this is the preliminary budget. This is what we would like to put forward for this year. And Betsy, do you want to go through kind of line by line, or?
I wasn't going to go completely line by line. I mean, just point out that, you know, we up teacher grants because we are in a very good financial position right now. So we want to try to spend money on that we have on the kids this year. So teacher grants was $3,000 last year, and we've upped it to $6,000. We're also handling the Heinens money a little different. That wasn't spent last year, and we've set up a new system where the money from last year is going to be forwarded and spent on the clubs right away at the beginning of the year, or hopefully as soon as possible. And then our budget is to make $4,000 again this year, and then that money we make this year will be spent next year. So we kind of lucked into that position to have it to spend rather than hoping it comes in and you know, and then not everybody getting it, or there's some issues with that. So we have a good system with that, but it's a little different. I'm trying to think, there's been, you know, the flower sale we kept at the same point. It was very, very successful last year. Hopefully it'll be as successful this year. Senior signs, that's a new line item because we're assuming that we'll even, you know, regardless of what's going on, then we'll still do that little bit of spirit where they put yard signs out, and we're going to contribute to that. That's not going to cover the whole thing.
So the other one was the Spirit Days. We doubled Spirit Day events money.
Yes.
And is that okay if I jump in there?
Yeah, sure. Yes, definitely.
That was because we felt like we want to be able to reach the students, and we're not entirely sure how we can. But we were talking with Miss Baker, the new assistant principal, and she was talking about really wanting to do some outreach and do something fun for the seniors. We felt that if she was doing something for the seniors and we could support that, it would be great, but therefore let's make sure there's enough money to support the other grade levels as well. But it sounded really positive. Ramona and I had a conversation with her just at the end of last week, and hopefully we'll be able to introduce her this evening as well. And yeah, just this idea of really making people feel part of community. So any of the places where we can spend money, like Staff Appreciation and Spirit Day, where we can reach out in a virtual manner, that was where we felt we should put some of the money this year.
Yeah. So does anyone have any questions about the budget as it stands? So I guess we need a motion to approve it.
Can we have somebody?
I move we approve the budget as presented.
Thanks, Meg. And then a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Nancy. So then go ahead and do the thumbs up if you approve, or speak up if you're a nay. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you, guys. And I just saw that Jackie Baker is here, so that's wonderful. Welcome to you. Thank you.
So I think we've approved the budget for the year. And that's the only other few comments I have is we do have an expense reimbursement form, and we do have a tax exempt updated form, which I've sent to the board. But if anyone needs it, please email me and I will get it set up on the website. There's been some glitches to that, but we're moving forward on that, and that'll be available on the website. And that's really all I wanted to bring up tonight. So
thank you. Sorry, I'm just responding to something there. All right, so moving on from that, are there reports? I'm wondering if any of our VPs would like, so thank you very much for passing that. That's wonderful. That gives us a start for the year. Are there any of the VPs who have a report and you'd like to share that now? Could I start with Karina? I think you sent me something earlier, so I wonder if you
yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I can go ahead and start. I have to actually read it. So for the speaker series, Rachel is, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Rachel is working on getting a speaker for October 26th, and she would like to do something about LGBTQIA. I don't even know what it is yet. So, and then we have Alyssa and Sarah. So they're going to present later. And Lisa Vahey sent me something. I don't know if she wants to report herself. But what I found out about the reports is in general that it's hard to get the information out about what the PTO offers, no matter, you know, who does what. I don't know what we can do about that. I don't have much to report, really. There's, okay, yeah, that's pretty much the problem. If I don't know if we're going to talk about that tonight, yeah, about what options are there to get the information out. Okay. Oh, and the other thing is I sent you the links about Lisa Damour. She won't be able to do any of the speaker series, but she sent some helpful links, and it would be great if we could post those somewhere because I think they're amazing, and they would give like great resources to parents to deal with the situation we're in right now.
Thank you. Thank you. We are in the process of getting those onto the website. We've had some glitches with all of the communications and we're working through that. So tonight we have Miranda Borden, who is our new co-VP of communications with Chanel Murray, and she, Miranda is going to step in and help us with the web page work and also with the Facebook and
Look at the time. It's time for some tofu teriyaki veggie bowls. Oh yeah.
Thank you. So our communications are going to improve. It is going to get easier to do that, but we changed over with PTO Council. Everything changed during the summer with the website and how newsletters are going, and so it's been a lot of change just at a time when there's already a lot of change. So thank you for bearing with us, and we're very, very aware that it's been tough to get the information out. And so I thank those people that I can see on the screen and see participating tonight who've been doing their bit to spread the word wherever they can in whatever networks they have. That's really appreciated. Thank you. So I think that's probably it, unless Chanel or Miranda want to say anything. And then I'd be happy to move on to Deanna. If Deanna, would you like to say something about the grants?
Sure. So Sue is actually taking care of the grants along, and I'm helping her out. So we extended now the application for October 15th. We sent it out to a couple of the teachers for them to pass on, and we also emailed Mr. Dooley to make sure that this goes out as well. Hopefully it'll be part of our website once things are working. We've already have some, we decided to do it on a rolling basis. And as was mentioned, the idea is maybe if there's more needed, we may be able to extend the amount of money that we have at the moment as well. And then just to complete this is Susan is fantastic at trying the very best way of communicating. Thank you, Susan. So regarding that, Heinens, please everybody sign up, sending out to everybody. We need to re-sign, that's the problem with Heinens. And Giant Eagle doesn't have apples for students anymore. So we made a lot of money. $4,000 is a lot of money as well. So just let everybody know to please sign up. It makes a huge difference.
Thank you very much. Joni, I know hasn't really got anything to report at the moment for educational enrichment. And so I'm just wondering, outreach, whether Colette or Dominique, I'm not sure if either of them have been able to make it tonight. Not seeing. I actually think that might be, if I've missed anybody, I'm really very sorry, I apologize, but is there anybody from the executive board who would like to say anything else right now? Okay. Well, yes. Hi.
Sorry, if I could just chime in from a council level on communications and echo the frustrations you're facing are at every single building right now. It was frustrating in the spring reaching families, and it's even more so currently for a number of reasons. We moved to a new family directory. We're saving, it's a third of the cost. And this new directory is linked to the website and Sign Up Genius. So we believe in the long run it will be a better option. But like A to Z, families have to opt in to receive information, which is why these PTO newsletters on Friday are now combined in collaboration with the district. And I may be repeating things you all have already heard. But the reason that was done primarily was because the school district has at least one email for every registered child. PTO does not. We can't really come close to that. So now the district is sending Friday e-news, and as you've seen, that's a work in progress. It came earlier last week, and now the links to school news are closer to the top of the email instead of buried pages down below. And then just the last thing I'll say about this work in progress, at the council meeting tomorrow, we're collecting more information from building presidents to really take back to the school district. One of the ways schools are reaching parents is leaning more on building admins to send PTO news, because again, they have lists that we just don't. So I don't know if that's easy to do at the high school. I'm a new high school parent, but I do know that is successful at some of the other buildings. We're collecting this information and then sharing it with the district and the communications team for this week. So feel free to email me if you have any thoughts, questions, concerns.
Thank you, Stacey. That's great. I was about to forget to do one other thing that we had forgotten about, well, that got left behind, because the last meeting that we had in the spring was not even in spring, it was in the winter. And so we have not yet approved the minutes from the January 28th meeting last year, and Lee very helpfully just reminded me of that. So I am going to share that on the screen now, I very much hope. Okay, I hope that this is the right one. Here we go. So we have a vast amount here. I don't actually expect you to read the whole thing through exactly, but we had a call to order. We went through the board business of the last minutes. Mr. Judy came and spoke. It was when he was having his beard shaved off. This is all going to go onto the new website as well. I know it's a long, long time for us to go back in our memories all the way to before COVID.
Like a time capsule.
Right. It's just fantastic to see it, really, isn't it?
The most thorough PTO minutes I've ever seen.
Thank you, Lee. And I'm sure Val was part of that as well. So Lee is busy trying to type away at this, and I was sort of saying she'll be able to watch the recording as well. So if she misses anything as we're going along, she'll be able to grab that. And then Mr. Peter John gave some, his piece, and he'll be joining us in a little while. That was academic planning. Oh, look at this, look. EOCs, did they happen? No. This was when life was still normal. All right, I'm assuming that nobody can read quite as fast as I'm scrolling, but there's a great thing here. Can Sankofa receive funds? I think we should look into that and see whether one of the line items that we've got down already can assist them. All right. And also with the budget, just going back to the budget, I wanted to say that we are trying to spend down a little bit of our excess. So the budget is showing that we've got quite a lot of extra money. Okay. All right. Oh gosh, this is longer than I thought. I would have been scrolling faster. I apologize if anybody's actually trying to read right now. But oh, it was all when we were just beginning nominating, and Grace Geyer came and Asya Akas, they're both seniors now, and talked to us about important activities they were involved with. So I'm going to stop sharing so that I can see. Could I have a somebody prepared to motion that we actually approve these minutes? I had actually sent them to the executive board yesterday, so it's not as if nobody's had a chance to read them. I should just clarify that.
Sorry, I can motion.
Thank you, Deanna. Do I have a second?
Joni Berger, second.
Thank you, Joni. That's great. Okay, so could we have thumbs and things? Thumbs on. Yeah, we only have a thumb or an applause, but that's great. Thank you. If anybody has any objections, please state them now. Okay, thank you very much. And absolutely, oh my gosh, Lisa Veje, please, thank you. So I've just seen in the chat, absolutely a shout out to Nike and Shirley for dealing with all that was thrown at them last year. And thank you so much. We applaud all the work that you both did, and thank you. I know that Nike is there and know how much we appreciate what you did last year. Thank you. We did send them. We did make a card from us in the. Okay. All right. So I think we should try to move on to Mr. Julie. Eric, if you're ready, I don't know if you're ready yet, but if you are, please, please join us. Thank you.
I am here. Hi, everybody. I would also like to echo my thanks to Nike and Shirley for just great work under impossible circumstances. So thanks, Nike, and Shirley has graduated, so we'll have to find her at college someplace. So I know that my new assistant principal, Jackie Baker, is here. So Jackie, why don't we just start off with you introducing yourself, and then I'll jump into my part because I know you have someplace else to be.
Hi, everyone. I'm just so excited to be here finally and settled in Shaker. I am originally from the area, but I have been in Florida, as many of you have been told, for the last 14 years. So I'm just excited to be home and excited to be the newest member of the PTO. And I'll be reaching out very, very soon on some new things that we want to do for our seniors and our staff. So thank you for having me. And that's it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you popping in and letting some people see you, because normally I guess we would have got to actually see you in person. So it's lovely to have a face to the name.
Yes, thank you so much. And I do have to run, but you have my email. I will be reaching out. And thank you, Mr. Julie, for introducing me. And take care, everyone. I am real. I'm here. So I will see everyone very, very soon.
Great. Take care.
Bye.
So under normal circumstances, of which these certainly aren't, new people have a chance to ease in and figure out where their office is. And Jackie came in at a full sprint as we were trying to figure out how to get school open. And she's just been a wonderful addition to the team, as has Scott Bowling, who was a long-term sub with us in the spring and is now full-time as a permanent position, and also Matt Simon, who joined us at as the IC coordinator, has also just been an incredible addition to the team. So anyway, for anybody of you that I haven't met, I am Eric Julie. I'm the principal of Shaker Heights High School. And I guess I'm just sort of giving an overview of where we are and what we're doing. So I said at the board meeting last week, of all of the times that I have opened a school remotely in a pandemic, this is by far the best. It's really been going very smoothly as compared to all the other times I've done this. And so, I feel good about where we are as a school. I think the feedback that I'm getting from parents and from students is that it feels entirely different than it did in the spring, which is really what we wanted to have happen. The language that I've been using is that we turned an in-person school into a virtual school in March overnight. We tried to do everything exactly the same to just keep the continuity and have school continue as best we could. And that was the wrong way to do it. You know, that was the wrong choice. But really, there was no way to know that, you know, going in. So I say that openly and honestly, but also, you know, how are we supposed to know? So we spent the entire summer really planning to do school differently, to have teaching and learning look and feel different, to have class look and feel different, to emphasize some areas of school and de-emphasize other areas of school. And so, you know, a lot of the questions and wonderings and feedback that I got before school began was, you know, some version of, we want it to be entirely different than it was in the spring, but keep it exactly the same as it is in school. And that isn't possible because we're not in school. And so we worked really hard as a team at school to figure out what we were emphasizing, what we were de-emphasizing. Some of the things that you've heard me talk about, if you've been on any of the orientations or read any of the things that I've put out, is we ought not to be teaching exactly the same way that we would be in person. And all of the standards that we would have time to hit in person shouldn't be hit in this remote learning, right? Not all standards are created equal. There are some things that are more important than others, and we should be focusing on the most important and not on every detail. But instead, we're calling them in our EduSpeak priority standards, right? Some are, so what's the most important content, foundational skills, key pieces of knowledge that students need to know in each of our courses, and that's where our focus really has been to start out and will be moving forward. If it's just, you know, Googleable, it need not be our primary focus in this environment. And the second key difference, which, I mean, we're pretty early on now, so people might not have felt this yet, but I've really been emphasizing that we not have our primary form of assessment be tests and quizzes. It just isn't the best way to check for learning in this kind of environment. Some students can sit there with another computer or on their phone, and so what does it look like to show what you have learned in a way that allows you to apply the concepts in a real world manner? And so that's been a focus of ours in the planning of this. And there's still going to be tests and quizzes, especially in AP classes and IB classes. It wouldn't make any sense at all to prepare kids for an AP test and never give them a test, right? That doesn't, you know, the whole class is centered around preparing for a test. We also ought not to be just testing and testing and testing. I saw your comment, Meg, about classes being let out early. I think I would change the language of that, which is, I don't want, not just because classes are 80 minutes, we don't want every class to be a lecture for 80 minutes, right? And so there is no need to be on the screen looking at the teacher for the entire 80 minutes. That's not a good use of time for anyone. And for any class in any school in the United States, there are plenty of days where kids walk in and the teacher says, hey, in an art class, keep on working on the project you've been working on this week, right? Like that's what we're doing today. And so it isn't necessary that happen on screen in this way all of the time. And so PE classes are kicking off, and kids are being told to go offline. And then come back at the end of class. Now we know that some kids are going offline to go do the exact thing that's been assigned, and some kids aren't, right? That's about learning responsibility and taking responsibility for your own actions, and that's going to happen. You know, there's no such thing as perfection in this. So anyway, overall, I'm happy with the way that we've started. It feels very strange to be the principal of a school without kids in it. It's hard for me, frankly. What I like best about school is being with the kids. And so I'm going to as many after school events as I possibly can. We are working to figure out a way, with the county, if the county permits us and all the numbers stay right, to, find a way to get students back into school in some sort of a hybrid model as safely as possible. There's also been some changes this year to the schedule. Some things that, we're doing a modified block. Every class is seen on Monday. And then every other class meets on a Tuesday, Thursday, or Wednesday, Friday schedule. This is purposefully designed to have less classes in a day, so that it's not turning over class to class to class in this kind of remote environment. And we'll see how it goes, and whether we want to consider doing this when we return to school, this year and again next year. I think there's a lot to be said for a block schedule. It helps with the people feeling like there's more time. It's a slowed down pace. You don't have every class every day. There's a lot to say that's positive about it, and it's also different than what we've done. And so it takes some getting used to. For the most part, I've gotten very positive feedback from students about it. They seem to really appreciate it. And then we also added another period this year that was to help us specifically when we go back to school, to have smaller class sizes so students can be socially distant. And then what that did unintentionally, but I mean, we knew it was happening, but it wasn't the goal. The goal was what I just said. It created some free blocks for students during the day, which is also an opportunity to have a break, be off screen, get some work done. And so I think that's very positive, and something that would have only happened with seniors in the past. So again, these are some changes that we've put into place. Let me just look. I've seen a bunch of questions. I'm going to get to the crew.
Can you, Julie, also talk about the crew sessions that we have on there, and then try to address, so that we stay on schedule, try to address some of the questions? I know they've been coming kind of quickly.
Yeah, I was going to look at the questions before hitting the crew thing.
And I just wanted to add in, giving you a moment, that Lisa Vehe, the totally skilled Zoomer, is going to make sure that we get a copy of those questions, so that if you can't address them all now, you'll have the opportunity to do so another way. I knew you'd love that.
So let me just, I'm sort of looking at the questions. Let me sort of bang through them as quickly as I can here. So if parents have suggestions for remote learning, what's the best way to share them? If it is a grade level specific question, they should go to the grade AP. If you don't know who your AP is, they're on the main page of the high school website. I have not yet named a sub for Ms. Changelis. That's in the works. I'll be doing that shortly. I'm stepping in and helping there in the meantime. The one-to-one stuff, I would, we have conferences 4 days a week for that. And so that's still what conferences are for. And so I would recommend that students needing one-to-one time show up at conferences at the end of the period. At the end of the day, that's what that is for. Yeah, I am not unhappy with teachers saying, I don't want you to have any homework. It's an emphasis of mine this year. I absolutely want less homework. People are on screens all day, and they don't also need to be on screens all night. So again, everybody's going to have an opinion about that. Classes that are preparing students for, again, AP and IB tests are still going to have homework, and some classes are still going to have plenty of homework. But an emphasis of mine has been, it's a good thing to have less homework at night in this remote environment. So, I'm sure that there's a variety of opinions about that. Feel free to share them with me, but that's a very purposeful perspective that I have been pretty adamant about with my teachers. Curriculum night information went out in both the newsletter on Friday. There will be an email blast this evening. We are going to do it may have already come out while we're talking, or it will be going out this evening. We are, instead of doing a race on curriculum night where everybody has to click through 6, 7, 8 Zoom or Google Hangouts in 10-minute increments, we will be posting videos from our whole staff on Wednesday evening, and they will be up for a week for people to view at their convenience. And there will be a Google form with questions that are linked to specific teachers that you can ask, and the teachers will get the questions and be able to answer them back to you. So you'll have there's a parent email blast that either has already come out or will come out this evening with all the details about that.
Clubs, extracurriculars.
Extracurriculars are starting tomorrow. Clubs are starting tomorrow. People in clubs are reaching out, and there's a group that's putting together a list and ways to share for 9th graders and new students so that they can see what we have and also join in. So clubs and extracurriculars start tomorrow. In-person field work, let's see, hold on. Yeah, I agree that it is a different thing with the curriculum night. You're still going to get to hear the tone of the teacher, but it is next to impossible to do this in a coherent way that makes sense for parents, given that I have 120 teachers and 1,600 students, and it would be clicking left, right, and center, and is guaranteed to go wrong. So I think that this is not our plan moving forward in perpetuity. It's just what we're doing in this context. The APs are going to see all the questions, and we will share them as needed with the, there's a drop-down menu for you to direct stuff to specific teachers and also not. So there will be opportunity to share questions with everybody. In terms of testing this year, we're still putting together a calendar. There will be an SAT for seniors only at the end of this month. We're not inviting anybody from any other schools outside the community, and it's just for seniors, not 11th grade. There will be an ACT next month, also for seniors only, not inviting anybody else. The PSAT that is normally in October is going to get pushed. There's a later date that we can use, and it'll be this winter. And so when I'm ready to announce that, I'll announce that, but we will have a hopefully in-person, regularly scheduled PSAT later on this year. We are acting like the end of course tests are going to happen as normal. I don't know if they will, but they are not canceled by the state. And so we're moving forward with them as if they are happening. All right, I'm going to jump into the crew time. Yeah, we're not going to have an open office hour for parents to drop in. I don't have time in the contractual day to add that in, but just like in a regular time, you are more than welcome to email your kid's teacher, and they will respond to you and set up a time to talk or have a Google Hangout or whatever. But I really want their contractual time to be spent with our students, more than setting a time aside specifically for this.
Can I clarify about that? I made a comment and then my computer crashed related to Sarah's. I think our idea is that we thought that's what the curriculum night was, and that is contractual time. Like there's some feeling you get when you.
Yeah. So the curriculum night is not time to talk about specific kids, right?
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's a vibe 10-minute, of the teacher.
Yeah. So they're creating videos. It might be good, like we'll see. And if it's not good, I get it, right? But also the logistics of this, we really did go through this in a variety of ways, and it's a logistical nightmare to have it work for every family in the way that we would want it to. And so if it's not good, and people are really not getting what they need out of it, I'm happy to take ideas, right? We could do it similarly to, you know, Fernway does one grade one night and another grade another night, or two grades one night, you know. So there are some options out there, but we thought that we would try it differently, given that this whole thing is different. And so give it a chance. And I agree that it might be missing something. And I also think that potentially teachers are not going to feel as rushed as they normally feel to say everything that they've ever thought about their courses in 8 minutes, you know, and so there might be something positive in it as well. All right, I'm going to stop answering your questions so I can stay on track and get to the next people. But I will say that I am looking at ways looking at creative ways to find small groups to come into school as we move forward and get closer to, you know, as the county numbers stay where we want them to be and continue to improve. If and when I can find ways to have groups of students come in, I will do that. We're not there yet, but I'm working on it. Okay, so one of the newest additions this year is what we're calling crew time. And so in the spring, if you remember, we instituted well checks in the spring, weekly well checks. And so what was good about them was that we were checking in on kids far more often than we ever did in in-person school, right? You could go 2 or 3 days in-person school and not get a call from anybody, and that was impossible during the spring quarantine because we had these well checks in place. What was bad about them was that families were sometimes getting 4, 5, 6 calls from, you know, different adults all asking the same questions, and it got to be pretty annoying. And so, you know, if you heard me talk at all last year, you heard me say that I wanted to make sure that that every student is connected to at least one adult in our building. And so our crew is one very purposeful step towards making that change, right? Another is assigning an assistant principal to each grade level. And so Jackie Baker, who was here before, is the 12th grade assistant principal, but she's not assigned to 12th grade, she's assigned to this group of kids. And so next year she will move to the 9th grade group, and she will be with the class of 2025 for all 4 years, right? Joe Hernan is the 9th grade AP, and he will move with the students all 4 years, so on and so forth for all of my assistants. And there are 2 administrative assistants attached to each of these grade levels as well, and they will move. So every system and structure that I've put in place this year is around wrapping services and support around groups of kids and individual kids. And so crew is another one of those structures that we're starting out that's around supporting kids. So every student is assigned to a crew. Each crew has between 13 and 15 students, and it's led by one teacher. There's a handful of crews that for a variety of reasons have a second adult, but 99% of them have one. All crews are grade level specific, and they're heterogeneous within the group. Crews meet once a week for 40 minutes on Wednesday afternoon. There are 30 teachers assigned to each set of grade specific crews. And so those teachers will also move with the kids for all 4 years, right? The 30 teachers who are assigned to this year's group of seniors will become the teachers for freshman crew next year, and they will stay with that group of freshmen all 4 years. Those crew teachers who are assigned to 10th grade this year will stay with 10th graders this year, 11th grade, and 12th grade. The purpose of crew is to have an adult that a student is connected to for all 4 years. This is intended to be, the adult is intended to be an advocate, a resource, a go-to person, a starting point for needed resources and support at the school. Crew is not a class. Attendance is taken and participation is expected. Over time, we anticipate that this is going to become an anchor for connections and relationship building at our school. This is not pandemic specific. It will be in place long after the pandemic has ended. And so it's right now it's in the day, at the end of the day on Wednesday, which is not where I want it. That's just because of a variety of factors in the pandemic specific schedule. When we are back in school and it's a regular year, crew time will be in the middle of the day, right? Say between second and third period. And so it won't be something where there's any reason to leave school for it because it's at the end of the day. This is not when I want to have it. This is when I needed to have it in this schedule, but it's not the plan moving forward. So it's not a class. It's not graded. There are no tests, quizzes, or assessments. It's not time for content. It's not a study hall. It's not a homeroom. It is time to connect. It's time to get to know 15 students and time for the students to know each other, time for the students to know an adult. It's an opportunity to check in on how kids are doing in school. It's time to build relationships. It's time to laugh. It's time to potentially create something together, time to support each other. It's on the adult side, it's time to be with kids. It's going to evolve over time. And I'm incredibly excited about it. And what it is now is not what it'll be next year and the following year and the year after that, but it is intended to be an anchor so every student is connected to an adult in the building. All right, I'm looking at the chat here.
I'd just like to say thank you very much. I know we're reaching 7:30 and I know that you had another important appointment.
Yeah. Thank you.
I know that you can't, we'll have questions for you, till the end.
There's always questions.
So I would just like to say, if anybody else has more questions for Eric, if you put them into the chat, then Lisa Veje is going to make a copy of all of those. And so we can forward them to Eric to deal with when he has a moment.
Let me just answer one other question and then I will be done. Karen asked if we return in a hybrid format, basically will teachers change? And the intention is, and to be very clear, I'm beginning to figure this out with my team. And but our plan all along, the way we built our schedule and the why of the decisions that we're making around schedules and in essentially the same schedule that we're in now. There will be a little bit of a shift because right now, everybody, all adults and kids are eating lunch at the same time, and that isn't possible with 1,600 kids in the school and maintaining social distance. So there will be some changes in times, but every decision we made in the summer about the schedule is designed so that everybody has the same classes with the same teachers if and when we return. So with that, I will turn it back over. Thanks everybody for the time. It's great to see you. I look forward to being up in the chairs in the senior lounge sooner rather than later, so we can be together.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everything that you did there. Thank you, Eric, and everything you've been doing getting the school running. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
And you. Bye. So next on our agenda is the counsellor section. And we have Ms. Bonner, and I know Mr. Peterjohn also wanted to have a quick word. I believe both of them have got other things to be getting onto as well, which makes it challenging right now. So maybe Mr. Peterjohn, if you'd just like to do a, hi, I'm Mr. Peterjohn, and maybe
yeah, for sure.
Super quick.
No. I can definitely stay around for a few minutes. I know Miss Bonner is somewhere on here also. She put together a quick slideshow of sorts. I think you had asked us to talk a little bit about the social emotional and maybe the college piece for the seniors. I can address maybe first the college piece with the seniors, just if there are any senior parents listening. Hopefully you were able to attend our program. I think it was Thursday night. I'm losing track now, but we did a program for our senior parents, a Zoom. It's a program we do every year, but this year we did it virtually. And it has been taped, it's been recorded. So, and I know that we're in the process of trying to get it out there. I think it's posted to our website already and in our Abre section. I believe I'm still getting hooked into this Abre personally. But Gabrielle Perrin, our administrative assistant, we have that prepared. It's ready to go. So anyone that wasn't able to attend last Thursday night as a parent, we have it up there ready to go. And you can listen to that. And we basically went over the nuts and bolts of what should be happening now in the fall and how we are there to help support in the process. The counselors met this afternoon from 2:55 to around 3:45, almost 4 o'clock. We met with the seniors in a group setting with our own counselees that we work with, and we covered a lot of the same topics that we did with the parents last Thursday night. Kind of the nuts and bolts, meeting deadlines, teacher recommendations, the use of Naviance to sign up for college visits. And we're going to then we will start meeting with our seniors individually. Hopefully by the end of the week is our goal. We're meeting with our freshmen in small groups tomorrow and Wednesday during their free periods to kind of make sure they're off to a good start and offer them support and suggestions on how to be most successful here at the high school. But getting back to the seniors, we hope to start meeting with them individually through these virtual meetings to map out their process. The big thing with seniors, if there's any senior parents, 3 weeks notice is what we really want to stress. We need 3 weeks notice to prepare your child's transcripts, get letters of recommendations gathered up from the teachers and our own recommendations, and then get everything submitted to the colleges that they're attending. And there is something called a green sheet that we talked about, I think, at our meeting with the parents last week, with our students this morning or this afternoon. And also, there's something called the golden ticket, where the students will actually tell us virtually through a Google form the colleges they're applying to. They'll do one golden ticket for each college that they're applying to. And that's how we're going to know where the students are applying. And they need to have those golden tickets turned in 3 weeks prior to the due date of the college application. They don't have to be done with the college application at that point, but they need to give us 3 weeks notice so we can have 3 weeks to get everything sent out by that deadline. Technically, the students can be working up until, let's say it was November 15th. They could be working until November 15th at like 11:50 at night. I wouldn't recommend that, but technically they could. But we are hoping to also, we are in the process, we have it pretty well put together, one document for all seniors that we can share with the seniors and their parents. It has just a lot of great information and links to these different forms that they have to submit, and other bits of information, essay writing. I do want to emphasize the summer jumpstart programs. We did 4 programs: a college panel discussion, a HBCU, historically black college university discussion, a testing session based on what's going on in COVID, and there was most recently an essay writing session with a representative from Johns Hopkins, and it was just in general speaking terms for essay writing. So we hope that parents and students can view these Jumpstart recordings. It's under the district website, Summer 2020 Jumpstart High School Programs. We mentioned this to the parents last week and the kids this afternoon. We were probably going to have
Mr. Peter John. So
yes.
we want to stay on schedule, and we're over, and we're way beyond our
All
agenda.
Right.
Okay, we do appreciate it.
I got it. So the bottom line is we're meeting with our seniors, and we're part of the process. Ms. Bonner's next. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Peter John. And yeah, Ms. Bonner, are you good to go? Hi. Hi. Yes, you're there.
All right. Perfect. Were you seeing my screen when Mr. Peter John was talking?
Yes. Yes, we were.
Okay. Okay. So let me see if I can get back to that. Actually, I don't think I can. Sorry, I'm used to Google Classroom. Let me see if I can get back there. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. I am one of the school counselors. And I know one of the topics that we are hearing often is social emotional learning. And this summer, myself, along with Danny Young, our newest school counselor, we were a part of an SEL work group. And so we looked at CASEL resources. And here you just see some of the 5 key competencies. And the goal of that work group was to embed social emotional learning competencies within the classroom. And so that was the focus of our work to support students, especially at the high school level. We want them to be able to demonstrate those skills of self-management, self-awareness. And so doing it real time in the classroom makes it more beneficial. But in addition to that, as the school counselors, there is a link to this website that school psychologists, school counselors work together, COVID-19 social resources. Here, it has a list to the school psychologists, our social workers that we partnership with through Belfair, our positive behavior coordinator, that information is there, as well as just some nice links for supporting students at home, and best practices and strategies. There's a virtual calming room. And so some of the things that we would use as school counselors to share with students. So that's available. And we'll have, if not already, we will have a link to that directly on the school counselors Google site that we are working on. So our role as counselors, in terms of social emotional support, we do a lot of triage, basic maintenance for students that are already connected with outside resources. Then we work on, basic maintenance of those skills that they should be using. We work on problem solving. And so we are definitely like the first stop. Parents often reach out or students reach out. And so then we work through figuring out what we can do to support them, but then also wrapping up the additional resources around our students to support their social emotional needs. And then Mr. Peter John already went over the counseling process. And I think the key piece is just to note that we are here to serve the resource, all student families. And if we are unable to provide the direct supports, we definitely will work together to provide families and students with resources, especially through Belfair. Our social worker, Nancy, she works on a triage basis, and then she also provides outside referrals when needed. And then Joanne Weigel, she's a clinical counselor, and she works on treatment plans for students that have the most severe needs and who are unable to gather resources on their own. Okay.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. Really helpful. Great from you.
Okay, well, thank you. I would definitely encourage all parents, if you are, concerned with some things that you're seeing with your students, definitely reach out to the school counselor and we can work together as a team.
Thanks. And if any questions come up in the chat, we'll get them to you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate that very much, and thanks for finding time this evening.
Okay.
All right. Good evening. Thank you. Just before you start, Alyssa, sorry, Alyssa, you were just, Susan Vaudry would like to just say something very, very briefly. She wanted like 2 minutes to speak about voting. So if you can just give me back the screen for a moment, I think I need it so that I can just share Susan's form. Okay, thank you so much. And Susan, if you are ready to speak, please.
Yes, thank you. There it is. Thanks for giving me just a brief few minutes. I'm a member of the Shaker Heights chapter of the League of Women Voters, And we're a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization of women and men. And our goal is empowering voters, defending democracy. We educate about what's happening in our city, in our county, and in our state. We research and report on key issues, and we urge citizens to vote and have their voices heard. So we work on voter registration and forums. We also observe all of the Shaker City, school, and library meetings. I don't know if you're aware of that, but we write observer reports. And if you want to know what happened at a Board of Education meeting or a neighborhood revitalization and development committee meeting, the reports are all on the website that I have written there, bit.ly Shaker LWV. If your high school student will be 18 by November 3rd, I encourage them to register to vote, and they can register to vote online at the Board of Elections website, and I'll type that in the chat when I'm done, but it's boe.cuyahogacounty.gov. October 5th is the final day to register to vote for the general election, which is on November 3rd. And early in-person voting and vote by mail begins on October 6th, which is just 22 days away. If you want to request a vote by mail ballot and you haven't already done so, you cannot do it online. You must put a form in the mail or drop it off at the drop box, which is at the Board of Elections, which is 2925 Euclid Avenue. All registered voters should have received a vote by mail form in the mail from the Secretary of State's office. And you can use that form. And there are also League of Women Voter envelopes with voter information and forms in every Little Free library throughout Shaker Heights and the Little Free pantries. There are, in case you don't know it, Little Free libraries at all the elementary schools, at Woodbury School, and in front of the high school. If you apply for a vote by mail ballot, you can track it on the County Board of Elections website. And the other thing I want to tell you about is vote411.org, which is a League of Women Voters national website. It has lots of voter information. If you enter your zip code, then you can find out what's on your ballot, and you can have nonpartisan information about all candidates. So you might be familiar with who's running for president, but you might not be familiar with all the candidates down the ballot. And if you go to vote411.org, you can find out about all the candidates. And if your student is interested in elections and voter engagement, they can become student members of the Shaker chapter of League of Women Voters. We really value student voices, and we have free memberships. And they can find out on the website, the Shaker League of Women Voters website. And we're on Facebook and social media too, but our goal is education and empowering voters.
Thank you very much, Susan. Really appreciate you stepping in there, and just hoping that everybody can spread that information far and wide and really ensure that everyone knows how to go about getting a postal vote, as well as just how to register. Thank you. So I would love to hand over to Alyssa, who is going to actually be presenting on the coping strategies that we have available and how to get to those strategies, and those resources. So thank you. Alyssa, over to you.
Hi there, can you hear us?
Yes. Yes.
Can you see our screen?
I can see your screen and I can see you. Yes.
Okay, great. Hi everybody, my name is Alyssa Hughes-Boss, and I'm here with my co-lead. Hey guys, I'm Sarah Izzy Haynes. And we're going to say a little bit about what we do in our everyday lives and why we decided to volunteer for this important committee, if you will, and then present to you what we've been working on to promote family health and wellness, which will be ever so important this year. And Sarah and I were just sort of remarking on mute that even this very meeting might have raised your blood pressure a little bit about various concerns and issues. So the time could not be better for more attention towards health and wellness. I guess I'll just keep going for a second.
Go for it.
So in my professional, everyday, regular day job life, I'm a clinical psychologist. I work at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital, working with both parents and children. I've been a psychologist for about 20 years. And, you know, in the midst of really this last year have done a lot of other work related to the pandemic and social issues going on that are straining people, you know, beyond capacity. And so this is really important and passionate to me and something that I work on at during the day at work. And I'm really happy to share some of the resources and knowledge from work to our school and family community.
Awesome. Yeah. So Alyssa brings the psychological side, and then I am a corporate wellness manager for Site Centers, used to be DDR. I've been there for 10 years. So I'm a yoga instructor, personal trainer, and wellness manager. So I'm more of the physical, fitness, nutrition. So we thought we could team up for this role to kind of have the perfect combination. So yeah, I'm excited to help out. So
Sarah and I met and planned our presentation, and then unbeknownst to her, I added in some slides today. And it's just because if data or statistics mean anything to people, which they do to me, I always like to see them, but I probably don't need to convince anybody here that we are under extreme and extraordinary stress. It is felt differently by many people, you know, it's felt differently by people. Our kids feel it in all different ways. We feel it, our coworkers, our friends, our loved ones, everybody is feeling it in different ways. So I know I don't need to prove to anybody or provide you evidence that our stress and mental health has really suffered over the last 6 to 8 months. And so there's been some series of pulse surveys nationally through the CDC and the American Psychological Association, tapping into sort of our nation's worries and stress. And you can see from the May report that even by May, which we were about 2 to 3 months into the thick of it by then, parents are reporting an incredible amount of stress, both about themselves, their family's well-being, and their children's well-being. So those were parents. In June, that would be, you know, the next month. This comes out every month. The American Psychological Association's report showed, you know, these extraordinary rates of stress related to where our country's at, and, you know, our nation's well-being, as well as stress related to observed and witnessed, and more attention to racial discrimination, violence against racial minorities, and murders recently that have been spotlighted in the media, of course, have been going on before this period. But, and then you see in the far right, 71% of parents are worried about the impact on their children. So it's really the vast majority of people reporting. In July, as you might imagine, the survey asked, so each month they sort of asked different questions. And these questions were more about feeling stress related to violence against minorities and communities of color. And so again, we see the majority of the nation reporting increased stress due to that. So stress has just been compounded and compounded and compounded. And now we have our school year and the stress, and we have an upcoming election, which is very stressful. So this is just really an extraordinarily difficult time. And again, everybody experiences that differently. So coming from that sort of space, Sarah and I have started to sort of collate a lot of resources that we have access to and use in our professional lives that address, you know, not just stress and anxiety or mental health, but just overall health and wellness and well-being, really broadly defined, not just mental health. And we want to really thank the PTO leadership for helping to get us some space on the PTO website. And I'm going to try and show you that now, where we have begun to, okay, hold on, it's just going to take me a second. Let's see, hold on one second. Oh gosh, how do I get to it? Okay, wait, maybe that's it. Oh, good, can you see that? The Shaker Heights PTO site, okay, great. So thank you very much for helping to do some background work for us. I'm sure this took somebody a lot of time, Sarah. I'm not sure how you pronounce your last name, but Sarah D, so thank you so much. And we have this tab here, Family Health and Wellness, and we have begun to upload resources for families. We just wanted to scroll through this. We would not have enough time to go through everything that is here, but what you can see is a screenshot of what the document sort of cover looks like. There's a pretty self-explanatory label and then hyperlinks. So one of the things that we wanted to emphasize here is that we put resources, and we will continue to put resources here, not just for our kids, which is mostly what we focus on in PTO meetings, is everything that's going on with the kids, but we're putting resources also for parents and caregivers and the adult loved ones of the kids we have in our schools. And so really we're taking like a whole family approach here. Someone earlier had mentioned Lisa D'Amour's excellent materials that she generously shared with us. And so those are here. In particular, we uploaded for tonight the Managing Anxiety and Managing Stress. Are we doing on time? Okay. We have, you know, there's an article about navigating the emotions of a pandemic, information and support for caregivers. There's a parent tip sheet, so how can support their kids. We have 3 really good documents about loss and grieving. We know that people are losing individuals to COVID-19, maybe a very close loved one, or maybe, you know, a friend of a friend. But as more time goes on, more people have personal losses. And so these 3 sort of address loss and grief. At my work, I've heard a lot from parents about how long this has been going on and that everybody's really going stir crazy at home, having a really hard time doing just simple, joyful things together and keeping kids busy in positive, fun activities. So one of the things we are emphasizing throughout the year is also how to build in joyful, positive time together. And some of these are related to that. This is from the Ohio Department of Health. Here's a couple. I'm sorry, I'm cruising by them because of our time.
No, you're
we
good.
were going to open some of these, but I think with time,
I think just cruise them, yeah.
Or if someone says, hey, I have a question about this, you know, we can stop and chat. There's a couple about teenagers in particular, a couple about going back to school and ways to manage that, how to manage or maximize success at getting back to school and getting off to a good start in high school. So the last bunch are really related to, you know, the adjustment back to school. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over and tell me what I forgot to say. And then
you're good. Yeah, so there's 14 links on here, and I think I feel like a lot of times stress and anxiety can kind of get cliche and we hear it over and over again. So the nice thing about these resources that Alyssa picked out, they get pretty specific and they don't just talk about stress and anxiety, if that makes sense. So a big part of taking care of yourself, for example, is going to be engaging and having fun, and especially since we all are isolated, a couple initiatives. I don't know if you want to go to that slide.
Which one?
The one about the fitness and nutrition idea.
Oh, sure.
We could jump to that if you want.
Yep.
So those are online. We figure that people can dive into those deeper, obviously on your own. But some ideas for both parents and students, like we said, we'd like to take a family approach if that's okay. Just feels like with working, I don't know if everybody's working virtually and you have the kids at home, and I feel like we're all kind of like busting at the seams here. For physical health. So one of my big concerns is if you are not an athlete, and let's say you're not doing any sports and your exercise used to come from your commute to school, walking up the stairs, the hallways, walking back home, and now you're walking 2 feet to the bathroom to brush your teeth and sitting down all day. So I don't know if there's a way that we can get some sort of Instagram hashtag for these events, but if that's what the kids are on, I figure is Instagram. So a morning walk to school, maybe they can do, you know, with their mask, a little selfie from a distance of just students staying motivated to move. That way we're not just catering to our athletes who are still able to play. And then a Top Chef contest, and it was really quite fun. But what the students could do is, you know, have some fun with like those Instagram healthy plates, since they're not in the cafeteria, they're not eating meals there, but we could do a Top Chef contest and perhaps incentivize them with an Uber Eats or Grubhub or some kind of fun gift card. Just something fun. So not only promoting healthy meals, but also just something to look forward to. Combating racial injustice with art was another idea, where we could also have a hashtag. They could submit an art piece, you know, maybe it's something with George Floyd, I Can't Breathe, or Breonna Taylor, whatever they want, and we have some type of art gift for that, maybe a Michael's gift card, just something to kind of appeal to, I don't know, I just feel like athletes right now are kind of getting, you know, they're able to still do what they love, and I feel like there's a lot of people that right now their passions are kind of getting drowned, and if we could bring those to the forefront while also focusing on health. Lastly, or not lastly, but I teach for work virtually every day almost. So these workouts are free and they're available to everybody that wants to take them. So if there's a way just to promote, they can join me on Facebook, and these workouts are, like I said, completely free and almost daily. And then volunteering. So I feel like a great way for us to stay feeling good about ourselves and keeping our esteem up would be to volunteer. And maybe it's something as simple as weeding at the Shaker Historical Society or raking leaves, but just figuring out ways to promote ways for students to give back. And they could do that socially distant together, so it's still socially good for them. And then a fall hiking series. I thought this could be fun for families or parents, taking a trip out to Cuyahoga Valley National Park and just meeting up for a socially distant hike. Just some things to get on the calendar to look forward to instead of thinking, oh my gosh, is this going to be canceled? Is that going to be canceled? I feel like we're focusing so much on the negative. So just some positive, fun ideas that we still need to go through the ladder to get approval and get a budget on some of the prizes, but happy to hear, you know, what everybody thinks on some of these ideas.
Thank you. There is so much. I know you guys have been like grabbing stuff, and I'm really, really impressed by like the wealth that is there. I'm sure that everybody will be able to find something they can connect with. So that's amazing.
Oh, yeah, and I am reading the chat right now, catching up a little bit. Karina mentioned that Dr. Damore has a fantastic podcast, Ask Lisa, the Psychology of Parenting. One of my friends just told me that she was listening to it, and very good. And then let's see, so people wanted to let each other know about that. Someone asked, could phys ed teachers and coaches as well? Oh, that's a great idea to involve them.
Yeah.
Could this physical health work also be linked to sports boosters and student clubs? That's awesome. Great idea. Yeah, so I think that's all we sort of have time for tonight, but yeah, we'll work on ongoing events. And
there was one other thing that from Melissa DeMore, I listened to one of the podcasts, just a good note to leave off on, and she kind of narrowed it down. If there's two things to be concerned about as a parent, as we're all, like I mentioned, busting at the seams, and the two things that she said were the most important were warmth. So having an environment where your student, you know, like I'm kind of letting the kids leave their dirty dishes right now. Like I want to be like, usually I'd be like, put your shit in the dishwasher. And I'm just kind of giving people a little bit, our kids a little more leeway. So creating an environment of warmth because they do have so much going on. And then the second thing she mentioned was routine. So a lot of our initiatives, I think, fall into the routine, perhaps getting out in the morning for that walk, creating a safe space for that routine. So those are the two things she kind of honed in on, which I thought were helpful because there's so much information. It's kind of like, well, where do I begin? So warmth and routine were her suggestions.
That's great. Just like having two words that we can hold on to. Yes, we can manage that, can't we? We can actually, that's handleable.
Yeah.
Thank you both for having like volunteered to do this work, and for, you know, it's just fantastic to have two professionals able to take this on and really help the whole community. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, feel free to reach out with other good ideas too. You can find both of our emails, I'm sure, on the roster or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and that will also, the website is a work in progress, and we'll be putting all the roster emails out there, but like in a secondary layer down so that they can't just get trolled. Like last year, a couple of the PTOs had everything sort of taken and spammed. So we're very cognizant of that fear, and we don't want to be just like spreading your emails everywhere. So you'll have a couple of links. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, well, I think, are we wrapping up, Ramona? Are we?
We are wrapping up. We are back on schedule. We were trying to keep to the agenda. So we're back on schedule. That was the last.
Congratulations.
I don't know, final remarks, comments from anyone before we wrap up?
I'm just going to say that Colette was unable to get here till just right at the end of the business meeting, and so she was not able to give the outreach report, but she's giving me a written report, and so that will be a part of the minutes for the meeting. But mostly it's like we're sorting out teacher appreciation. We were trying to figure out how to do that remotely, and we are going to be sending gift cards to every teacher and staff and faculty at the high school. So we felt like every single person needed to have some sort of acknowledgement from us. And as I understand it, they are looking at 319 Coffee, so that we're also supporting local business. That was really important. Okay. So thank you. If there's no more, thank you everybody for all the thank yous and all of the great suggestions in the chat, and for all making time for this evening. It's actually kind of been really lovely to, I was so stressed about this before it started, and it ended up just being such a good feeling to have everybody in community like this. So thank you.
All right. Thank you everyone again for your time.
And yeah, so I think that's it. We can say yay. So October 26th is the next one, and please encourage people to sign up for things. On the website, you need to sign up for the new directory. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. All right, take care, everyone. All right.